Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you've followed the Sister Wives drama for any length of time, Robin Brown's jealousy isn't exactly breaking news. Sharing has never been her strong suit, especially when it comes to Cody. In fact, her need to keep him close created ripple effects that shook the entire family. Over time, she managed to pull Cody away from the other wives, distanced him from many of his children, and built a world where it's basically just the two of them inside a very tight bubble. To give you an example of how deep that bubble goes, Cody has actually referred to his oldest son not as Logan, but as Dayton Brown. He's mentioned that his oldest son watched the show or watched Special Forces, and again, he wasn't talking about Logan, he meant Dayton. That alone says a lot. Now, here's where things get interesting. Apparently, Robin didn't take too kindly to Special Forces, or more specifically to Briana Chicken Fry LaPaglia. Briana is a podcaster from the Barstool world and one of the hosts of the BFFs podcast, which wrapped up its final episode just this past Tuesday. During that finale, Briana shared a story about something that happened the day before. She had been out to dinner with Gia, Andrew, and Sean while they were doing press for the finale. They'd been bouncing around different podcasts, doing interviews. Cody himself was even interviewed, and somewhere along the way, tensions apparently surfaced. Because word on the street is, Robin has a problem with Briana. Now, Robin hasn't come out and said exactly why she dislikes her, but let's be honest, we can make an educated guess. Briana is a 25 or 26-year-old young woman. She's confident, outspoken, and yes, she's beautiful. On top of that, she spent a lot of time interacting with Cody on the show, more than anyone else actually, and that alone is enough to set off alarm bells for someone as territorial as Robin. Briana even talked about this on the Decider podcast. When she was asked about Cody, she didn't sugarcoat a thing. She joked about telling him he smelled because he wasn't wearing deodorant, something she said had to be done, and honestly, someone finally said what everyone else was thinking. But beneath the humor, she made a key point. She spent a lot of time with Cody. They were paired together for almost every challenge, nearly every car ride with Cody. They even ended up bunking next to each other after another cast member left. Briana admitted she didn't know who Cody was before the show, and that they couldn't be more different in personality. Still, she felt like someone like him needed someone like her, someone willing to step in, speak up, and rein him in a little. And that right there is probably the heart of the issue. See, Robin has always seen herself as the one person who truly gets Cody. She believes she speaks his language. She believes she's the only one who can guide him, manage him, calm him down, and keep him on track. So when a young, confident woman comes along and openly says, yeah, he needs someone to rein him in, and I did, that's bound to feel threatening, especially when that woman doesn't come from Cody and Robin's world. Briana comes straight out of the Barstool universe. She's East Coast, Boston-based, blunt, and unapologetic. She's not going to tiptoe around uncomfortable topics the way people sometimes do in the Midwest, and she's definitely not going to play the role of the quiet, obedient Mormon wife who treats her husband like he walks on water. If something needs to be said, she's going to say it, plain and simple. And honestly, that contrast alone probably rubbed Robin the wrong way. What's also fascinating and a little unsettling is how people talk about Cody behind the scenes. Between the cast members and people who've worked with him, he's often described as erratic, exhausting, and difficult to manage. The way they describe him, you'd almost think there was something deeper going on, like a cognitive issue, severe mental health struggles, or an inability to care for himself properly. We already know narcissism is part of the picture. That's been clear for years, but some of the behavior people describe goes beyond that. It's chaotic, it's unpredictable, and more than one person has been genuinely confused by it. Briana herself even said on one of her podcasts that at one point she wondered if Cody might have some kind of disability because his behavior just didn't seem normal. And when that's the reputation following you around, it makes sense why Robin is so protective and so defensive. Because of all that, Briana even admitted she felt bad talking about Cody at first. She genuinely believed there might be something wrong with him. She actually said, I thought there was something wrong. Maybe he's special needs. I'm not sure. I don't want to make fun of him if he is. That's how off his behavior came across to her. Eventually, though, she realized that wasn't the case. In her words, he's not disabled. He's just chaotic. And honestly, that tracks. Cody is socially awkward, painfully unaware of how he comes across, and completely incapable of reading the room. He just keeps talking, and talking, and talking. Cody likes to call this optimism. He claims he behaves the way he does because he's just such an optimistic guy. But let's be real. I think what Cody actually suffers from is decades of being treated like the son everyone else revolved around. For over 30 years, he had 4 women competing for his attention, praising him, defending him, and validating him, no matter how poorly he behaved. Think about it. He could act however he wanted, and in the early years, those women would have eaten it up. They explained away his worst behavior. They told him he was an incredible father, an amazing man, trustworthy, hardworking, and practically flawless. Over time, that kind of constant praise creates someone who truly believes they can do no wrong.
And here's the thing about narcissists, especially as they get older. Experts say they often become more detached from reality, not less. When their carefully built self-image starts cracking under feedback they don't like, they don't self-reflect. They unravel. They become more erratic, more reactive, and more unpredictable. And that is exactly what we're seeing with Cody as he ages. So yes, people really did start wondering if something was seriously wrong with him, and Cody did not like that. This is where Robin steps in. She sees herself as Cody's manager, the translator, the handler. In her mind, Cody can't take care of himself. He has verbal diarrhea, says whatever pops into his head, and doesn't stop to think about who he's hurting or how it affects anyone else. He relies on others to guide him, speak for him, and remind him how a decent human being is supposed to act. Because left to his own devices, Cody seems completely incapable of it. And that is exactly why Briana became a threat. Briana was the one keeping him in check. She wasn't afraid to do it, she didn't tiptoe, she didn't coddle him. And that role, that is Robin's role. So when someone else steps into it, even temporarily, that's going to feel like a direct challenge. Now, let me show you what Briana actually said on the BFF's podcast finale, because this is where things take a sharp turn. She joked, "Are you crazy? I have a Mormon sister wife that wants to skin me alive?" She said she couldn't believe what she was hearing. According to Briana, she was actually one of the nicest people to Cody on Special Forces. She described it like gentle parenting, calm, patient, respectful. They took photos together, they did podcasts together, they did press together. Everything seemed fine. And then she drops this bombshell. Cody apparently told Sean, Andrew, and Gia that Robin refused to attend the press events because she didn't want to be in the same room as Briana. Why? Because allegedly, if she were in the same room with her, she'd kill her. Briana said Robin claimed she couldn't come to press because she'd, quote, put a gun to her head. She even joked, half joking, half nervous, that once the clip gets picked up by Sister Wives fans, she's probably going to have a hit on her life. Then Briana immediately walked it back, saying she probably shouldn't have said all of that. But she also pointed out something important. She's never met Robin, never spoken to her, never said anything about her, not once. After that experience, Briana said she honestly couldn't make sense of Cody anymore. She couldn't tell if he's misunderstood, if he's just a bad guy, or something else entirely. And in the end, she decided to leave it alone. She said she felt bad for him, thought he had a bunch of screws loose, and didn't want to make fun of him anymore. And here's the part I can't get over. We're supposed to believe this story about Robin, the same Robin who walked away from Coyote Pass the moment Mary and Janelle showed up because she was terrified of confrontation. That Robin. Suddenly she's threatening violence over a podcaster she's never met? Yeah, something doesn't add up.
I keep trying to picture Robin actually trying to hurt someone, and honestly, it's hard to imagine. I'm trying to picture her getting loud, confrontational, yelling, screaming, and it just doesn't quite line up with the version of Robin we usually see on TV. Now, I know it can happen. I've been told, allegedly, by her ex-husband's niece that she witnessed Robin hit her ex-husband once. So yes, supposedly she can get physical, but still, murder? That's a very strong word and a very extreme emotion. So the big question becomes, what's really going on here? Is Cody exaggerating, being dramatic, or using hyperbole like he so often does? Is he stirring the pot, trying to pit people against Briana? Or is this his favorite move, saying how he feels, but blaming it on someone else so his hands stay clean? You know what I mean. That said, I do believe Robin probably doesn't want to be around Briana. And I also believe Cody thrives on putting Robin at odds with just about everyone, because that's what he does. He isolates, he divides. But I don't think this story is completely made up either. If Robin truly is angry, or even just talking tough, it likely comes down to jealousy, plain and simple. Now, I'm not Robin, I can't speak for her, but in my opinion, there are two layers here. First, Robin does not tolerate people criticizing Cody. Cody himself has said that Robin will throw up her dukes if someone talks badly about him. He used to say that like it was a compliment, by the way, which is telling. But there's a second layer, and it's the one nobody wants to talk about. I'm Robin's age. I'm 47. Briana is 26. She's young, she's beautiful, she's confident, she speaks her mind, and she's naturally attractive. And whether Robin wants to admit it or not, she has always felt threatened by other women when it comes to Cody. For the last 15 or 16 years, she's been in a relationship where Cody always had other women around him, other wives, other influences, other outlets, until very recently. And let's not forget, Cody has openly told Robin on the show that he doesn't get his physical needs met. He's even said the only reason he would bring in another woman is because he's not being satisfied sexually. That's not subtle. That's a warning. So of course Robin is going to see Briana as a physical threat, someone Cody might be attracted to. And that's where it becomes a double hit. On one hand, Briana talked badly about her husband. On the other hand, she's young, she's close to him, and she spent a lot of time with him during filming. Think about it. Briana was with Cody throughout the entire shoot. She was paired with him during challenges. She rode with him. She had to motivate him, cheer him on, and believe it or not, be kind to him.
and she was kind to him, probably the kindest person there. Most of the cast wanted nothing to do with him. Randall Cobb, for example, reportedly thought Cody was completely unhinged and didn't even want to be near him. And honestly, knowing what we know now, that reaction makes sense. Cody admitted he called Randall by the wrong name the entire time. He talked nonstop, he smelled bad, he didn't shower, he didn't bathe, he didn't wear deodorant. These are basic things most adults just do, but Cody didn't. He always had an excuse, but at the end of the day, he simply didn't take care of himself. So from Robin's perspective, the fact that Briana was nice to him during all of this could feel threatening, which is wild, but here we are. Now, to be fair, there's also a very practical explanation for why Robin didn't attend press events. She has 2 kids, Ariella and Solomon, and it's the school year. They're both in school. It's not like they have an endless supply of nannies anymore. They don't really use nannies these days. So realistically, she probably couldn't go even if she wanted to. But I wouldn't put it past her to frame it as, I can't go because if I do, I'll lose it. And let me just say this directly. Briana, girl, you have nothing to fear from Robin. Truly. Even though, yes, you are much smaller than her. So let's be honest for a moment. Robin is about 5'10" or 5'11". She's tall. She might even be taller than Cody. She's a much bigger presence physically, especially compared to Briana, who looks like she weighs maybe 110 pounds soaking wet. Robin definitely does not. So sure, on paper, that contrast looks intimidating. But Briana, truly, you have nothing to worry about. Robin is all talk. She's always been all talk. She hides behind Cody, uses him as a shield, and lets him do the messy parts for her. And honestly, she doesn't strike me as someone with the energy or the interest to actually confront anyone face to face. Between her health issues and the way she carries herself, she seems more overwhelmed than threatening. What does ring true, though, is what you said about Cody having a few screws loose. That feels fair. It also feels fair to say you didn't enjoy being around him all the time. You're allowed to say that. And if you didn't like him, you're allowed to say that too. And let me say this clearly. Those of us who've been deep in the sister wives corner of the internet, we appreciate you. We appreciate that you say it like it is. We appreciate that you called him creepy. We appreciate that you pointed out how poorly he treats women. Because the truth is, most women who've been around Cody for years have refused to acknowledge just how awful his behavior can be. And it took a 26-year-old woman, someone young enough to be his child, to finally stand up and say, no, this isn't okay. There's something poetic about that. Cody has children in their mid-20s. He has children in their 30s. And so far, none of them have publicly put him in his place the way Briana did. So yes, there is beauty in that moment. So where does that leave us? Robin clearly sees Briana as a threat. She appears jealous, she appears territorial, and she seems angry. Whether that anger is real or exaggerated through Cody's storytelling, we may never fully know. But it does make you wonder, what exactly did Cody say behind the scenes? Did he tell Robin Briana was beautiful? Did he talk about how nice she was to him? Did he mention they bunked near each other? Did he complain or brag about how much time they spent together during challenges in filming? Because here's one thing Robin should probably hear loud and clear. Briana was not charmed by your husband. Not even a little. So yes, Robin Brown may be coming for Briana, but will she actually respond publicly? So far, she hasn't. She declined to comment when US Weekly reached out. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Robin will respond? Do you think this story has more layers we haven't seen yet? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click that bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching.
The female interrogator looks straight at Cody and says, essentially, you say you love women, you say you like women, but you haven't impressed me at all. Then she asks the most basic, reasonable question. What could you have done to get me on your side? What could you have done differently? The answer should have been easy. Be cooperative, be respectful, be human, be friendly. But Cody couldn't do it. He was furious, absolutely furious that a woman was humiliating him, furious that a woman had power over him, furious that a woman could call him out, challenge him, and tell him exactly what she saw. He was angry that Briana called him creepy, angry that he was no longer in control, angry that he was in a submissive position to a woman, and instead of adapting, he shut down. Here's the part that's so hard to ignore. All he had to do was talk. That's it. He didn't have to confess anything dramatic. He didn't have to break character. He just had to communicate. Explain what they were doing, share what they were experiencing, offer something. Speaking would have helped the women beside him. Speaking would have shown teamwork. Speaking would have shown growth. But he refused. They gave him chance after chance, opportunities to work with women, opportunities to be cooperative, opportunities to be friendly, opportunities to offer information, opportunities to help ease the suffering of his teammates. Every single time he said no, not out loud, but through silence. And why? Because of how he views women. By his own words, he believes he spent his life being pushed around by women, that he's the victim, that women control his fate, that he has no agency. And that belief,
deeply ingrained and deeply unexamined, is what ultimately got him kicked out. After his removal, Cody tried to explain it away. He said he shut down because of stress, that the pressure made him stubborn, that he felt both relieved to have made it as far as he did and disappointed he didn't go farther. But here's the thing. What we actually witnessed tells a different story. When he was with a female interrogator, he showed her no respect. He wouldn't engage, he wouldn't answer. When a man was present, he talked more. Not a lot, but noticeably more. The turning point came when the female drill sergeant called him out directly and said, "I know what you like. You like watching women suffer. We see who you are." That's when Cody shut down completely. Not from exhaustion, not from confusion, from anger. At that moment, I think something clicked for him. After all those days, 9 days in real time, weeks on television, he realized he hadn't changed. He hadn't shown growth. He hadn't learned how to work with women. He hadn't challenged his own beliefs. And instead of facing that, he chose silence. He could have done better. He had countless chances, and he didn't take a single one. In the end, it wasn't bad luck or a tough challenge that sent him home. It was his misogyny, his inability to work with women, his rage at being called out for it. And no matter how he spends it, that's the truth. I don't think he'll ever admit that's why he was kicked off. But make no mistake, his sexism is the headline of this entire series, and the world finally saw a side of Cody that many of us have recognized for years. He hasn't changed. The crash out was epic, his exit was final, and while he didn't win, it was oddly satisfying to see him confronted, and to see him fail under the weight of his own behavior. Alright, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. If you found this breakdown helpful, give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and don't forget to click the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, bestie.